Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're looking at another expanded deck, one that's not actually been seeing too much play in the expanded format, which is very surprising to me, because it's had a great deal of success in the standard format right now. In the UK, it's won 2 regionals, it's even won over in Lisbon by a familiar name of Pokedex. He's another great YouTuber, check him out, he's got a full list of his Manectric bats, obviously for the standard format. So today we're looking at it in the eyes of expanded, and there's a few interesting cards that stand out straight away, but we'll start off as per usual with the Pokemon. What really makes Manectric bats tick is the fact that it can deal with lower HP Pokemon really easily, thanks to this early attack overrun. It does 20 and a 20 snipe as well, and we're combining that with bat drops as well. So a couple of the most popular decks right now in the expanded format, just as well as the in standard, is Night March and Vespiquen decks, and Manectric Bats has a great time at taking early knockouts and really keeping up with these sorts of decks by using the attacks like Overrun and combining it with Sneaky and Surprise Bites. So Overrun is one real reason why Manectric, I feel, is good right now, but he also has this great second attack as well, Assault Laser. It does 60 damage, and if your opponent's active has a tool attached, it does an additional 60. So 120 is a pretty decent number. We can slap that Muscle Band to go to 140. And then with a Surprise Bite from a Crobat, we get to do 170, which knocks out a whole bunch of EXs. Obviously, Manectric is a Lightning type as well, so we have decent coverage against Yveltal. It's very true to say that they also play things like Zoroark and Gallade, so it's not completely all said and done. Just because we're a Lightning type means we're going to have a good matchup against Yveltal necessarily, but it is a nice little thing to be aware of. So Assault Laser should keep us in games against these EX based decks that we're seeing. Stuff like Keldeo Stoice can be an issue. I've got a few cards in here to counter that deck in particular, and also Yveltal we can hit quite easily with Assault Lasers if they've put on, you know, a Float Stone and Muscle Band, and we also play a couple of Flare Tools of our own to try and get that output very high. So it's pretty baffling why this isn't doing so well. It's a really cheap attacker that has, you know, a decent plan against both EX and non-EX decks, so I'm surprised it's not had much success, and I'm trying to show off today with this build that there's huge potential for it. So there's our main attacker. Combining, we have the nice free retreat Zubat, which is a big thumbs up for us. It's also actually important to note that against other bat players, there are a few fighting bats around. We're actually good at beating other bat decks because Overrun hits for weakness on Zubats, and also they only have 40 HP. It's a lot easier to kill in standard these sorts of Zubats compared to the other ones with 10 more HP, because then they fall into the category of Overrun plus Golbat, of which we play 3 in here. Sneaky Bite, perfect numbers, really helps out against Combees, which is a huge thing. So much so that I've debated putting a 4th one in here. For now, I'm sticking with just the 3, and that's simply because I play Frozen City, so I'll tell you how that combos as well later. So, Golbat, yeah, we're playing 3 in here, still a high count. The Sweep Across is sometimes relevant if we're up against 50 HP Pokemon, but usually it's not too important, but a nice free retreat is pretty awesome as well. So Golbat is great, and additionally we're playing a thick line 3 Crobats as well. That Surprise Bite is amazing for getting extra counters into play. The Skill Dive is also something of note. We get to snipe 30, so that can help out. Again, stuff like Night March where you can snipe to kill Joltix and stuff like that. With Muscle Band we can hit 100 on Mew EX as well. And this is pretty awesome, especially because most Night March decks already play Dimension Valley. So sometimes we can skill dive for free and hit 100 damage. And, you know, that's with an addition of the Surprise Bite if we've just evolved, or even stuff like a Golbat or even Frozen City. You can sometimes kill Mews straight off the bat, so that's pretty awesome. Amazing for also keeping type coverage, because one of the main counters to Manectric right now is actually Gallade. And Crobat hits weakness back onto Gallade, so again, finding that Muscle Band doing 100 damage to Gallade is pretty awesome, especially because then we force our opponent, thanks to the 130 HP plus the resistance, it forces our opponent to have something like Muscle Band or even Giovanni's Scheme potentially, if people are playing that, to one-shot us in response. So Crobat can be very useful there. So, a couple of the handy partners for the Manectric deck. We are playing one Miltank. This is for powerful friends, doing 10 plus 70 more once we have a stage 2 developed. So, with such a thick Crobat line, that can be developed in most games. So, having this as a non-EX, again, it's a great way of helping out against Flareon and Vespiquen based decks, also Night March as well, because we want to be using as few EX attackers as possible in that matchup. Once they start evolving out of their Combees and out of their EVs, Manectric becomes a lot less appealing, so we're going to move into these other non-EX attackers, sometimes even attacking with the Crobat itself to help us out for the rest of the prizes, so Miltank is really handy there. Also, it combines really nicely with the Frozen City, because it means we can, if someone's commit a Keldeo to one-shot one of our Manectric EXs, it means that we can instantly kill them with just a single energy drop on a Miltank. So it's really nice there, as long as Frozen City stays into play, of course. It's a big factor, but this is actually a huge part of the deck, to be honest. It's the only real out we have to Archistoise. So we're playing a count of 3. Most Archistoise players only play 1 to 2 stadiums maximum. I don't think I've ever seen anyone with 3. So we should be able to keep Frozen City developed for a large portion of the game. And that's really going to punish Keldeo because they have no real way of removing it, and so many counters get dropped onto them. So either they don't trade one-shots, which is what they're used to doing, but then our Manectric stay around. It gives us more time to get more bats developed, and still Frozen City's hurting them. So that's pretty awesome. Or they do eventually extend enough to get a one-shot on a Manectric, and at that point their HP is so low that we can come in with either Miltank, Dedenne, maybe even bats with muscle bands to respond KO. Even sometimes just a muscle banded overrun can respond for the knockout. So that's our main way of beating Keldeo, the 3 Frozen City. I'm very surprised that we're not seeing more people opt to use Frozen City. I know Plasma is not actually so big right now, but a deck like this, where the energy output is so... or not the energy output, the energy requirement is so low, I think it really makes sense to play Frozen City in here, because in matchups where it's less important, you just don't play it, or you use it as just a counter stadium after you've already attached your energy for the turn, assuming your opponent's going to try and bounce it with their own thing the following. So Frozen City is really awesome in here. I really like using it. So yeah, a couple of the only other non-EX we're playing is actually a single Dedenne. Dedenne is a nice levelable searchable target, and again it's one of these non-EX attackers that can put in a decent amount of output. It can help us out against Yveltals if they're trying to extend with a big Evil Ball knockout plus, Verbank Laser. We can punish them with the Dedenne, which is pretty awesome because we don't have acceleration in here, so we need these 1 energy attackers. Energy short doing 20 times the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active. Again, it's a great tool to have against stuff like Keldeo. So Dedenne overall, really, really nice. I like it a lot in this deck. And even when you're just doing low output, like a 40 damage burst against a Vespiquen, sometimes that can be relevant thanks to Frozen City drops or bat drops as well. So plenty of reasons why I really like the attack for Dedenne. Also, when we do start with it, we can sometimes flood the field of Zubats quite easily with that entrainment attack. So really nice overall. Then we have a couple of nice Pokemon to help set us up and keep us consistent. One of them, of course, is going to be Shaymin EX. That setup is just so useful. And we're also playing one Jirachi in here. Opted to play Jirachi again because these 2 level balls down here, we get such ridiculous value out of level ball. It makes Jirachi even more searchable. So we have 4 Ultra Ball and 2 level ball targets just for this guy. And that can get us into nice supporters for the turn, which is pretty awesome. Especially because against stuff like Archistoise and even Yveltal, we're going to go for the turn 1 Ghetsis. That's one card that we are playing that I'm highlighting just there. That's often going to be the target from Jirachi in those first turns to try and deny their Archie or Maxi play by getting rid of all their compressors and trainers mails and Ultra Balls from their hand and really leave them with nothing. So that's the main point of Jirachi in here, to be honest. In general, just a good consistency booster. So that's it for Pokemon. Pretty simple overall. We have our attackers, a few non-EXs as well to keep us in the trade race against these other non-EX decks that we're seeing in Expanded right now. And of course, these backdrops are going to do wonders overall. So let's have a look at the trainers now. First of all, our A-Spec is going to be Scoop Up Cyclone. Really like using this. It's the guaranteed pickup. It's basically an AZ, but you get to pick up everything attached. So it's like, it's just a super scoop up that always flips heads. So that's pretty awesome. It can be used as a means of healing a Manectric against things that don't one-shot us. There aren't too many things in Expanded that don't get the one hit, but every now and then that could be useful. Most of the time it's going to be for resetting a Crobat line to get more usage out of these sneaky and surprise bites. I will mention that, of course, Archeops is a big deal in Expanded. It's something that we have to be concerned about, but why have we really got nothing in the deck to deal with that? We're not playing Hexmaniac, we're not playing a single Wobbuffet, any of these strategies that a lot of other decks implement when evolutions are so crucial to the deck. And as you can see, we're playing, 10 slots just for an evolution line, and we're not having anything to deal with Archeops. That seems pretty crazy. Well, firstly, there's the Ghetsis route. We're going to try and Ghetsis them turn 1 so that we can make it difficult for that Maxi combo, or Archie combo. Yeah, I mean Maxi because I'm talking about Archeops. God, my head's all over the place today. Christmas is coming. Anyway, so there's that first thing, try and prevent them getting it in the first place. But the second sort of argument is the main deck right now that uses Archeops is actually Yveltal. And oftentimes they're using a split of Yveltal and Gallade. And against Manectric, most of the time they probably want Gallade out because otherwise they're going to run out of attackers pretty quickly. And it's difficult for Yveltal to keep up with prize trade against Manectric on its own. So a lot of the time their first Maxi is going to be looking to get Gallade out. So oftentimes we will have time to get these bats down. And in that matchup specifically, the bats are very helpful, but they're not the most crucial. Decks where it's more important are things like the Vespiquen and the Night March. So I'm happy just having the bats in here. So yeah, the Scoop Up Cyclone mainly for the bats, but we don't have anything really to stop Archeops. So if it does hit the field, it's kind of frustrating. But, it's just something that we want to live with. The deck can survive without the bats, I feel, just because Frozen City is another way that we can get counters on the board to help out magic numbers. Some more of these one-offs. We're playing the Super Rod. It helps us reset these bats if we have to dump some early on, which can happen every now and again. Also, we get to recover these non-EX attackers if we are in a matchup against non-EX based decks, so overall pretty handy. As well, it gets to recover some energy. We're playing a pretty low count at 8, and 2 of them being specials. It's quite important to recover some of these with Super Rod when we're up against stuff like Save Like Garbodor, because everything is pretty low output. We can do good damage. Definitely Miltank is one of our best attackers in that matchup because it hits the perfect numbers for just a single energy. So being able to recover 3 energy is basically 3 more turns of getting KOs. So the Super Rod is really nice in that matchup, especially because we have extra bat drops to help us out. At least until they develop Garbodor, or if we can Lysandre kill Garbodor in the process. So then we are playing one Escape Rope. It's just a nice way of moving stuff around, especially because we have the bat line as a free retreater. We can send up our free retreater and then just move out of it into whatever other attacker that we want to use. It helps us out when we have a slightly more awkward start. I think Miltank is one of our worst starters because it's a 2 retreat cost, and obviously its damage isn't good until later on in the game, so it's another guaranteed switching card. This could easily be just a single Super Scoop Up, but I feel like Escape Rope is slightly more versatile than just a single Super Scoop Up in the deck, especially because we have a couple of guaranteed means of doing it anyway. I think this is slightly more versatile. So next up to Level Ball. It's fantastic for flooding the field of bats, and also can help search out Jirachi, as well as Dedenne in those situations where you need to spring out an attacker from nowhere, so that can be pretty handy. We are maxing out the Trainer's Mails, just a big consistency booster overall. It's great for getting us into our bats, getting us into Frozen City when we need to find it against Archeops, so plenty of reasons why we max this out, just consistency overall. Similar situation for the full Ultra Ball. Obviously, we're often going to be finding higher up lines of the bats as well throughout the game, so Ultra Ball, you're always happy to see this in your hand, not least for helping us get more cards with something like Shaymin or Jirachi. It's another great out. We have for VS Seeker, this is becoming more and more standard as we go through this season, basically. We have so many different supporters in the deck. Well, actually, not as many as quite a few other decks that I've shown recently, but there's a couple of one-offs that are very important to use at the right time, and you want to get N at the right time, stuff like that. VS Seeker helps us do that. So here are the supporters. We're playing 1AZ. It's a guaranteed pickup to help us get more bat drops. It can also, again, do that whole healing shenanigans, pick up a Shaymin or Jirachi off of our bench, so that we take away that 2 prize option for our opponent. Plenty of reasons why AZ is really good. We are playing the Ghetsis. I've already mentioned how important this is. Basically, the main 2 matchups are going to be Archistois and also going to be Yveltal Gallade. So those are the 2 we're trying to target. A turn 1 Ghetsis can be really painful. And we have so many outs in this deck. We have all the Trainer's Mails, which are kind of like pseudo outs, I guess. And then we have the Jirachi itself, 4 Ultra Ball and 2 Level Ball. We will often get the Ghetsis if we're looking for it turn 1, so don't you worry about that. For our other supporters, pretty standard. 2 Lysandre, just pick off whatever we want. Obviously working well with bat drops as well. We can pick up things really easily. We're quite a nice Shaymin killer. Overrun with Muscle Band does 80, and even that with a single Crobat can help us finish off a game of 2 prizes. So it's really easy to finish off games, even if we've commit so much to one Manectric that's just been knocked out. We just need a single energy and a Muscle Band and a Crobat. That sounds like a lot, but it's not actually that much to then take 2 more prizes. Then we have 2N, some more shuffle draw. I feel like we need a couple just random shuffle draw cards in this deck because it's not the fastest. We can have a few turns of play, and you don't always want to be using Juniper simply because of the thickness of our bat line. So a couple of N fits the profile quite nicely in here, especially if we're using things like Manectric early on to set up KOs later in the turns. N is going to get good value for us. Similarly, we're playing for Juniper. It's just the most powerful draw supporter we have. It can be painful getting rid of certain bat lines, but we do have the Super Rod just in case. And there's often a lot of clunky stuff, like in matchups where Ghetsis isn't useful, you just want to dump him. There's a lot of matchups where Frozen City is just garbage, so you can just dump and go really to help you find more bats or get you into your energy. That's often something I find myself searching for, so Juniper's still the most powerful means of doing that sort of stuff. So, the Frozen City, I've already gone over it. Archistois is the main reason. But similarly to the bats, really, getting these extra 10s and 20s can really help the overrun output. So you threaten Combees to the point where basically either they attach and die, or they have to find the Vespiquen, and sometimes they have to, Sycamore away the DCE. Stuff like that can be really awkward for them. So Frozen City is really good in random situations. You can also set up like Joltix, and again, the math gets better when they start attaching these energies here and there. It just all around so much help, and for most other decks that are one-hitting right now, so Archistois can one-hit really easily anyway. So can Vespiquen, Flareon, and so can Night March. So the 20 damage that you put on yourself really makes no difference to you at all. The only time when it's effective, like it actually matters, that damage, is when you're up against Yveltal. But of course, you get to choose when to put Frozen City into play. So either way, it doesn't really matter. If it makes any sense to you, if you're basically replacing Verbank, because that's the most used stadium for the Yveltal decks. If you're replacing Verbank, just imagine that you didn't replace Verbank, and that 20 damage that you put on yourself for that energy attachment would have just been there anyway for Verbank. So it really doesn't make too big of a deal, in my opinion, in terms of drawback, but gives us a lot of help in a bunch of different matchups. So, 3 Muscle Band, super clutch when putting it on Crobat to help us get knockouts on stuff like Gallades. That alone made me want to play 3. I did originally have 2 in here, but I upped it to 3 just for that reason alone. Also, it makes great numbers for killing Shaymins. Once again, I mentioned that Overrun plus Crobat drop. Or even if we just had previous damage from other overruns, we can kill Shaymins really easily with that Muscle Band additional math. So all over the board, we're doing a lot more damage. We're also protecting ourselves from Headringers against stuff like Totina or Sableye Garb. So very, very helpful to have these in here. So finally, 2 Headringer in matchups where obviously people aren't going to want to put tools on the board because of the Assault Laser damage gets increased. We're going to slap it on so that we can one-shot things like Yveltals and threaten everything basically into the range where we can just do a couple of Golbat or Crobat drops to one-shot pretty much everything in the format right now. So Headringer really helps out there. It forces an extra extension as well to the Keldeo, so again, it plays into our hands with Frozen City. everything plays into the hands. It's a really nice combo, Headringer plus Frozen City, and it's one that people don't really haven't been using much at the moment in Expanded, and I feel like this is one of the decks that can capitalize on it more than most. So onto energy finally, 2 flash energy just to protect ourselves that little bit more against Gallade. Sometimes we can survive hits, which is pretty important. So yeah, we have to bear in mind though that they do play Verbank Laser anyway, so the flash energy may be kind of less useful. I could see myself going just to a full 8 lightning, but it's kind of the decision that you want to have. This just gives me a bit more peace of mind for myself. You can even use it on Dedenne if you have to, so there's 4 targets for these 2 cards, so it's kind of a little bit better. It does make you slightly weaker against Toad Garb and Sableye, but there we are. I think overall I'm pretty happy with a 2. And we just have the 6 lightning energy. It works a lot nicer with the Super Rod. You rarely need more than 8 throughout a game total, so I feel like that's the right number. You see it enough thanks to our aggressive drawing approach with all the ball searches and then going through with Junipers and stuff. We will often not be struggling for energy. So that is the deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll be hopping into some battles momentarily. So we found ourselves a game against DKD. And they'll be flipping a nice little Diancie coin. And we win the flip, so we get to go first. It's pretty nice. It means we can develop some bats, hopefully, and threaten. If he is playing a lower HP Pokemon deck, we can start threatening these bats a lot quicker. And let's see what we're up against here. We are up against, it looks to be Toadina. The first thing I'm going to do is Headringer the Keldeo, because this way it makes it a lot harder for him to Quaking Punch us next turn. We will go for the Trainer's Mail first, and we do get Juniper, which is nice. Not too worried about getting rid of VS Seekers, because it doesn't affect us too much in terms of when we're under Trainer Lock. So let's start developing some of these bats. I could also go for a Jirachi this turn, but I feel like the bats, just to help our board state overall, is going to be more important. We already have a decent enough supporter. Do I want to put Frozen City down? In terms of math for Seismitoad, I guess I kind of do. So let's do that. And let's go for the Juniper here. I want to find a Muscle Band just to protect ourselves from Headringers. And we do indeed get that. And we also get a lot more trainers to play out here. I think I want to be greedy here with the Headringer and just keep it, because it's going to be a while for Giratina to be doing much, and either way we have, like, it's not too big of a deal, him committing an extra energy. I'd rather just, because we've put that Headringer on Keldeo, it's going to be difficult for him to get Toad out next turn, so the question is, do I want to Ultra Ball now? Get rid of Frozen City and Golbat just to find some sort of alternate attacker next turn, maybe even Shaymin. But I think for now I'm going to try and be greedy and see what our opponent can come up with here. Because we've seen the Keldeo, he's mainly going to be playing Float Stones, so we actually, wow, okay, we see an attachment of Double Dragon on the first turn onto this Giratina. We see a Crushing Hammer get heads as well, getting rid of a Lightning Energy, and he decided to get rid of Muscle Band, which is interesting. I think he doesn't want to play into Assault Laser damage, but it's not too big of an issue for us, really. So let's start getting Golbats developed. We get that initial 20 damage, and because we're going to be using Juniper, I think the Crobat is going to be the thing that gets sacked here. And I think I'm happy just to find another Golbat. So we're going up to 60 now. 100 with the attack if we get energy here. So Headringer means we're not going to be damaged. It's pretty much going to force him into like a pretty awkward situation. We find a Zubat. We don't find energy though, so pretty grim for us here. We want to start using our trainers once again, just so that we don't fall into any nasty Seismitoad shenanigans, especially because we've Headringered and put damage on this Giratina to the point where He probably wants to just AZ up at this point. So we will just go for the VS Seeker to find a Juniper. We are sitting on a decent hand, but we can play out most of it next turn. So I think here we just pass. Bit of a shame we missed the output. I mean, missed the attack, because that would have made nice numbers. But again, I'm assuming that we're going to get hit with, or our opponent's going to use something like AZ or Super Scoop Up this turn. They often play quite a few of those sort of prize denial pickup cards, so I imagine we'll be seeing something of the sort this turn. A nice play also is going to be trying to Lysandre up that Keldeo and use overruns on multiple targets so that he doesn't really have an option of what to pick up really with an AZ or Super Scoop Up. We see an N here, kind of okay. We did have nice stuff to play out, but again, no energy, so here we have a slightly more awkward hand, but we do hit the lightning energy. We see another Giratina come down. And then we see a Hooper. And we just see a Seismitoad from that Hooper. We see a DCE go onto the Seismitoad, putting 20 on it thanks to our stadium. And then Shaymin goes down for 4 more cards. We do see a Hypnotoxic Laser. That does get heads. We do have AZ in hand, so it's not the biggest deal if we are staying asleep. We see a Computer Search. I wonder what he's going for here. Unless he plays just a regular switching card. No, just that poison. And we do wake up, which is nice. So we saw the comp search and then played nothing. So I think I just want to end here. Obviously I'm going to attach a Manectric. I don't mind the 20 damage on us. It's not an issue at all, really, in terms of math. Do I want to play down this Zubat? It doesn't hurt me to do so, other than limits my bench space. But we get an extra card with the N, technically. Let's just use N, I think. Too many supporters in this hand to want to use Juniper, especially because we've played so many VS Seekers. Now then, we do have Super Rod. I think, is it too early? It's too early to use the Rod right now. Let's go for Trainer's Mail. We've picked up that AZ again, which is really nice. I think I also want to take Juniper here. Slightly more aggressive with the hand that we have. We're going to start putting Golbat drops sort of around the board. Really threaten pretty much everything. I'm assuming he wants to move this Giratina regardless, so we want to spread the damage around to really give him no out of anything to do next turn. Put enough damage on both things to threaten them both. We receive 10 more from Poison, but we're not in threat of anything unless he plays like some sort of Zerosic to get rid of Headringer. He'd have to Zerosic DC and then find Verbank, I think. Or find Muscle Band. We see a Crushing Hammer that gets heads. And we do see VS Seeker for Zerosic, so that might be what he's going for here. Moving into Chaos Wheel range. But that really doesn't threaten us. We could Ultra Ball and find Dedenne here. Or even Miltank. I think I want Dedenne because Miltank is probably better against the Toad. So we should be in good shape here. 120 damage. Actually, we could just AZ up and take 2 prizes off of it. Oh, he didn't even kill us because he didn't have Verbank. Man, I really want to AZ here on Crobat. But it's way too greedy with our stadium. AZ... Oh, man. I am feeling kind of greedy here. So otherwise, what would we be doing? We'd be doing AZ here. Ultra Ball, find Crobat. No, Ultra Ball, find Shaymin, right? Yeah. Okay. We have to pick up Manectric. Let's go into our free retreat in Crobat. Let's Ultra Ball these away. And we want to go Shaymin here. Oh, but I'm a fool because I didn't check prizes. So that means we're going... Jirachi? No. We'll just keep developing bats, I guess. We don't mind sitting with a Crobat because he's out of reach until he finds himself a... Oh man, this is a decision again. I think I just want to spread it onto the Toad again. 90 is a relevant number. And we do get use out of Super Rod now, but in case he gets a knockout on like a Golbat next turn with a Lysandre, I think I just want to pass here. Pretty passive turn from us. That was due to me like not knowing my prizes, being an absolute fool, but that's only because like I'm here talking to you guys. Trust me, if it's a oh wow, Ghetsis for a card, go ahead. That's not a problem. That's a really bad turn for our opponent. Really poor turn. Chaos Will for 100 does like nothing. It's really not going to damage us at all in terms of what we do here. Oh, we pick up a Flash. It's times like this where you just want it to be a regular energy. But here we're going to bench Manectric regardless and go for this Juniper here. And again, the only energy we pick up is Flash energy. Being taunted by these silly things. I'm probably going to switch these out for regular energy. Do I want to just use Rod here? I still kind of do, kind of don't. I'm going to evolve for sure. And I'm thinking of Shaymin at this point. I don't want to keep committing to this Toad because he can easily just super scoop up and reattach that double colourless. So again, it's a case of just spreading the damage around while we have these bat drops at our disposal. And we'll go into Crobat here. And we'll just pass. Really annoying that these Flash Energy aren't regulars. I'll probably make this change. So if Toadine is big in your area, go to full regular energy. Yeah. So we get Headringered on the bench. It's not too big of a deal because we have these backup attackers anyway. And I've been looking to use these pretty much all game. But we've not hit them just yet. We see Double Dragon go onto the bench Tina, so he's trying to set up more things. Still not taking a prize yet, our opponent, so we're still in good shape. He does find Laser, but does he find the Verbank? Actually, no, he definitely couldn't find Verbank because otherwise he would have done it before he attached. So we seem fine here. We just want to find a Draw Supporter or a regular energy. All we'd find is Bleeding Escape Rope. That's not too helpful. I really don't want to use Escape Rope simply because Giratina in the active slot is exactly where we want it. So for the same reason we don't want to use Lysandre yet. I think it's time to Super Rod because we're basically top decking to find energy. So we may as well put some energy back in the deck. Crobat's also a nice thing to throw back in there. And for now, I'm thinking of just benching Zubat as a sacrificial target because it's the least important of our cards. So we've had a few misses this game, but we are close on taking prizes like around the board. Once we just hit a single energy, is that so much to ask for? But again, it's going to take our opponent a lot to break down our board state right now. Need to check my VS Seeker count. I think I've gone through 3. Yeah. Okay. We probably need to save that 4th one for an AZ at some point. Our opponent goes for VS Seeker here. And goes for Ghetsis. He's only going to be taking, again, 1 card. Really trying to value that Ghetsis highly. But at the same time, I believe he gets to see what's in our hand. Yeah. So he knows what to play around at this point. Although it's difficult to play around both Dedenne and Miltank because their output come out of like different means. So more damage goes onto the Giratina. This Frozen City has been amazing for us. And we just see the Chaos Wheel for the first prize of the game, believe it or not. Despite us having damage all over the board, really. So, top deck energy. Yay! We're in good shape. So, I want to use Miltank this turn. Yes. We find an energy. Huzzah! That Super Rod was fantastic. We would have been punished if we hadn't as well because of that Ghetsis. So here we go. Powerful Friends. First 2 prizes. And we're in pretty good shape here. Hopefully we can pull Shaymin out of the prizes or another energy. There's Shaymin and there's Ultra Ball. So we're in pretty good shape here. We see that other Giratina come into the active. So Dedenne will be doing 80 on the Tina. That's 120. Not perfect. We can't attach Muscle Band because of Chaos Wheel. We see Muscle Band go into a bench Seismitoad. And we do just see that Chaos Wheel. So now we go into Crobat here. We find Jirachi. Not the most helpful of things here. It's frustrating because I think Flash Energy is relevant enough to want to keep just for the amount of energy we've gone through already. Actually, no, there's only 2 energy in the discard. We still have plenty of deck, so our deck is like full of energy right now. So I think we can get rid of it. And we're going to be rid of Jirachi as well. I just want to scout deck here. 5 energy left in deck, so we're probably going to hit one. For bench space, I think we just take Crobat here. Or I take nothing. Let me see. We need the bench space for Dedenne. Or we could just go Manectric. That goes... Okay, I think I want Manectric and I'm going to hold Dedenne for later. Oh no, Dedenne's so much better on the Tina. The thing is, I'm playing into like a nice like AZ play for him, which is the frustrating thing. So again, I want to keep damage sort of everywhere, just to really make it as awkward as possible for our opponent here. So we're going to bench Dedenne first, because that's what we'll be attacking with this turn. And then we'll use Shaymin. There's an energy. We only hit 1. So we've got 4 energy. We've got like a 50-50 chance of pulling energy like for the next 8 turns, basically. We will attach to Dedenne and just get this damage on the board. So again, this Tina's on 120. Pretty much everything's set up for us. We finally see Verbank take over, which is actually nice for us. It means we can start attaching to these Crobats again. We're in a bit of an awkward spot. I think the fact that we played these two Flash Energy has made this matchup a whole lot more awkward. I think that's something I'll be changing. Also, the fact that I made a play thinking I had Shaymin in deck when I just didn't check. So I kind of deserve to be in an awkward spot just for that awful play alone. So, we will go into Crobat, 50-50 for an energy, please. And we miss one. Amazing. So I think we need to end here. I could also go for Ghetsis, unless his hand is 7 trainers. In which case we, like, lose. Could happen, guys. Stranger things have happened. The only worry is I don't want to use VS Seeker, because then we have Lysandre targets, and that's... Well, I guess we have the rope still, so... How do we get a knockout this turn? We don't is the answer. In which case, do we just set up something with a Lysandre here? Even Escape Rope is frustrating for our opponent. So I think I'm going to do this. Let's see where our opponent wants to go here. I'm going to try and set up Tina with an Overrun. You can go into another Crobat for now just because of the free retreat that we have. And we're going to VS Seeker. And we're going to use N. Hoping to find an energy. And we do find one, which is great. We're going to move into our Manectric now. And start using Overrun here. Putting both of these in really, really close touching distance at this point. Another Headringer gets slapped on. Is that 4 for our opponent? Wow. And we just see Muscle Man and Quaking Punch. So, question is, what do we Lysandre here? I think I'm just going to Lysandre Shaymin and pass. Like, he can just rush in, but it's just as awkward for him to rush in. And we just see a pass from our opponent. We have another Lysandre off the top, so not great. We need to start hitting these lightning energy as quickly as possible because we're on a clock now to take these prizes. We are tantalizingly close. We do see a crushing hammer. This is pretty big here. Oh, we see our heads. That was pretty huge. And we do see that rush in. We do hit energy. The only thing we can attach to is Manectric because otherwise we can't even retreat out. So have to attach pass here. Our opponent seems to be drawing pretty dead themselves though, so really. Let's see what we can do here. These two Flash Energy, man, they've been killing me. They're going straight out. We just see a pass, please be energy. Oh, wow. Okay. So we can use Overrun this turn. So in terms of output, it makes the most sense on Toad here. And of course we're going to put it on the Giratina as well. But I don't think we have enough turns to win this game. We see a Lysandre to stall us out here. And just a Quaking Punch. So I think that makes us spend our last energy, right? This is going to come down to the wire. I think if he has any sort of disruption card next turn, we lose. I don't know why I said GG. We haven't won yet. Oh wow, we hit Scoop Up Cyclone. Oh, but he's gonna Quaking Punch us anyway. Does he play one Trick Shovel? Please be OP. Or have Bunnelby, right? He's miscounting some prizes. Can we win this turn? Oh my goodness. So tense. See a VS Seeker for Lysandre, I think, wins him the game. It's going to be interesting to see if he wants to just rush in. I think that's safer to rush in, right? He actually went for a Sycamore off that VS Seeker. What's he digging for to win the game here? Is he a Float Stone onto Hooper? Let me see a Sycamore. What does he need? Is he going for a Laser Flip? Oh, wow. Flips Tails on the laser. DC onto the Toad. Is he retreating? Yeah, we do take that rush in. It's the safest thing. See another laser trying to stick us asleep here. Does get heads. We have Scoop Up Cyclone though. So I think we win. Wow. We win, guys. Amazing. Pulling that Scoop Up Cyclone, I thought we were going to lose. But we were able to pull it out because he didn't go for the Quaking Punch there. Amazing, we clutched it. What a close game. That was crazy. I think I made a few errors along the way, but at the end we really pulled it out there. So, an amazing game against Totina. Wow, we won on the last top deck. I think, yeah, pretty interesting game there. That was pretty nice. And we saw a lot of things at work there. The bat drops, the Frozen City coming into play. All the damage came up important to us, and we saw how important the Dedenne and the Miltank were just for that matchup alone. Because of Headringers and energy denial, we need to just have that one energy burst type situation, and we were able to win the game. Amazingly close game against our opponent there. So I hope you enjoyed the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed the battle. I think just based on that game alone, I'm going to be taking out those Flash Energy. So for those of you who stuck to the end, you get that extra bit of advice. So you'll now see the refined list, which is going to be 2 lightnings. So thumbs up if you stayed to the end, and hope you enjoyed this revised deck list and that insane battle. That was really close. So it's been Joe from OmniPoke, and I will see you guys next time.